Hello everybody, and this is a tutorial on how we do all of our football live streams. As of right now, if you're watching this in the future years, this is the class of 2025, and this is how we do it. This is going to be a very in-depth, very detailed, and to make it most specific and easy to follow for you guys to hopefully recreate everything we did this year. So I'm going to read off all of the equipment that I have listed here so that you guys can have specifics, so that you guys can understand specifically what we used. So if you want to skip past that part, go to this timestamp, just skip ahead. All right, firstly, we have a 90D camera, the 70 to 200 lens. Make sure you have a backup battery and an SD card. And then for the camera for our commentators, that is another 90D camera with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens. Also a backup camera and an SD card. You're gonna need a tripod with a track, and then also a mini tripod. Then you're gonna need a field monitor and your power cord for that. 2 mini HDMI to HDMI adapters, 4 HDMI cords with the HDMI connectors, our switcher with this power cord, a USB-C to USB-C cable, a MacBook, and I would highly recommend you use a personal MacBook because I don't know if it'll work as well with the ones provided through publications. So would highly recommend you do a personal MacBook. Also that with headphones, 2 extension cords and 1 multi-port power strip. Both of our 2 commentator headsets, our audio interface sound block, a USB-B to USB-A cord, a dongle, and a TRS 1 male to 2 female adapter and cord covers. So that is the list of everything that we have right here. So let's get started setting up. All right, first step is to get on the roof and set up the main camera and set up the tripod and the field monitor for that. So let's get up there. This part could be a little tricky because you have to use both of your hands to unlock the lock. So if you just kind of lean your back up against this, hopefully you won't fall. I would recommend having someone else here to help you out, but very easy. Unlock the lock up here, take it out, and then push. Very simple. All right, so this is the roof of the press box. As you guys can see, this is the full, football field right here. If you look around, we can see the another soccer field there, baseball field. Everything is up here that you guys can see, and this is where we get our big top shot of the whole field. So now what we're gonna do, now that we have it unlocked, we're gonna grab the tripod and the camera to start. All right, firstly is our 90D camera with a 70 to 200 lens, and this is the tricky part that you really gotta be careful with. As obviously there's no easy way to get up there other than the ladder, so I would really recommend that you have a friend or just some sort of adult or a friend out here to help you lift all of this stuff up there so nothing falls and breaks, costing you thousands. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hold on with one hand up here, and then I'm gonna hand it off just right here to my cameraman, there you go. Just so you and your friends can have a very simple exchange to prevent nothing falling down. All right, the tripod is next. This one isn't too difficult. It's got long legs. There you go, just like that. All right, so now this is our field monitor and our mini HDMI to HDMI cord with the track for the tripod. All right, so when you're filming, you normally have a stool or some sort of chair for our cameraman to sit on, because this is how you will view the stream, not through the camera itself, but through this. So first things first, we're getting the tripod set up. I try to extend the legs as long as they can go, just for as high of a point of view of the field as you can get. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna put it up at about the 50 yard. You wanna be as middle as possible. So right there, about where the Liberty logo is, or about the 50, somewhere in that range, it's all good. So, just gonna loosen up the tripod here, get the stick out. All right, so now the tripod is good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our track, which is what goes on top of the tripod, and we're gonna put it on the bottom of the camera. As you can see, there's a little screw right there for your track to go on. So basically we are going to just screw it on there just like that. And I would highly recommend having a quarter or a penny or something like that to really tighten that down, maybe a flathead screwdriver, really just something like that to make sure it's secure. But just for today, for the sake of simplicity, I'll just keep it like that. All right. Now, on this specific tripod, there's a little button right here that you push down to kind of release that, thingamajiggy. All right, now we're going to put it on the tripod. Just like that. Tighten down this thing right here to make sure it is secure and on tight. All right, so now if you're able to shake around just a little bit just to make sure it's secure and it won't fall off during games. We've had that happen before. Okay, so now we're going to be using our field monitor to connect it to our camera. And this is where the mini HDMI to HDMI cord comes into play. So as you can see, there's your original HDMI cord with a mini HDMI cord, and this is the part that goes into the camera. So if we come around here, we'll see on the side, there's something right there that says HDMI. So we're gonna pop that open and you'll see right where that plugs into. Boom, like that. And then we're gonna just have it dangle there for a second. Come back around and grab our monitor. And this is where we're going to plug this side into the in. There's two HDMI ports, there's in and then out. Out is how you get it to the stream, but in is how you receive the signal from the camera. So we're gonna plug it in right there. Now, we can't see anything because there's no power. It's not on right now. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so these are just cords. You can't really break these, so I'll have to have a friend out top to kind of catch these. So now, we're gonna take a look down here. Right below the ladder, you'll see the power cord right there. There's one down there as well, but this is the one that I like to use because it's closer to the top. So you can interlock your legs like this. This is what I do when I have to have my hands free. If you interlock your legs like this, you can hold yourself there, hands free, and plug in stuff. So can I have the extension cord? All right, so now, obviously we're gonna be plugging this in to the port down here. Right down there. And then we're gonna have the other side go up here to our field monitor.
Make sure all of the cord is up here so it doesn't fall out.
All right, now that it's all extended, we're gonna take this end of the power cord. It's broken into two parts. So there's this side that plugs into this block that plugs into the actual field monitor. So we're gonna put this part in the outlet like that, stretch it out, and then this part goes into this block like that, and then we use this cord. So now you plug it in to this port right down here, and soon, it's a little bit of a glare, but there you go, it'll say field monitor, and then there's no signal as of right now because we haven't turned the camera on. So we're just gonna leave that like that for right now. Okay, so we forgot to put a battery in it, which is very important. So we're gonna loosen this up and put a battery in it, just like I did. Very easy, pop on, pop off. So there's your battery open, click that open, there's nothing in there. So we're gonna grab our battery. With the arrow, you have to focus on the arrow, and that goes in like that. Make sure it clicks, pop, and now you can put it back. Very easy. All right, now the only thing missing is the SD card, and it doesn't matter how big it is, like size-wise, because you aren't actually going to be recording it. You're just gonna be streaming through the screen. So on the side here, just gonna pop that open, push the card in like that until it clicks, push it back in, you're good. So now, we're gonna turn the camera on with that top switch, like that. Give it a minute, make sure it's on the video mode with that red camera right there. All right, so now if we go to our monitor, so now once you take that cap off, if you get it a second to adjust to the lighting, there we go, now we're seeing a little bit of something. There, you'll have to adjust the ISO and all the different settings on the camera to match what works best for your stream. But if I tilt the camera down a little bit, we will be able to see the full football field, just like that. There's the Liberty logo. So that is how you get the camera set up. And this is where your cameraman will have a stool or a chair or something like that. So they can very easily just sit here, watch the game through this camera, and use the handle stick right here to move it left and right to follow the game. All right, so this little room where I just did the intro is where we actually make all the magic happen. So this is where your live stream manager will sit, the one who's managing the scoreboard, the streams, the cameras. That manager will sit right here. And then how we did it was two commentators sat right in these two chairs. I can show you some photos on screen. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're going to get our switcher connected to our MacBook, who's feeding through the stream through the top camera. All right, so as I mentioned, you're gonna want a personal MacBook. I personally have never done this before on a school Mac. I'm not even sure if they support it, but you're totally willing to give it a shot if you'd like to. But this is my personal MacBook. If you, for the nerds out there, this is a 14-inch MacBook Pro with an M2 chip, I believe. So we're just gonna keep that open just right there. So what we're gonna do is this is our switcher. And this is how we connect all the cameras into one spot. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna take our USB-C to USB-C cord to connect this to my MacBook. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this right about here, take the bands off, plug it into the back of the switcher, right there, and then plug it into one of your MacBook ports. I'll just go right here on the side. All right, so now before we go any further, I'm gonna show you guys how I set up everything on the OBS side of things. Because that's probably one of the most difficult part if you're the live stream manager, is figuring out all the graphics, figuring out all of the templates, and all of how to get it synced up to the YouTube channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut to that right now, and you'll see me back here in a little bit. All right guys, so for this part of the video, we're gonna be focusing on the thumbnails and the scoreboards and how to set up OBS and then get it connected to the YouTube. So firstly, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at these thumbnails. So these were the ones that I made these are the ones for women's basketball, this is for men's basketball, and here's one for varsity football. I really like how these came out. I think they really do show the action very well, and I'm gonna show you guys how I do that from scratch. So firstly, we're gonna get a white background, or a black background, excuse me. We're gonna get a black background, just like that. And then we want this line to kind of split between the teams and the photo of the action. So I think all I did was just I grabbed just a simple line off of the free elements on Canva, and then angle it at maybe, let's say about right there, that looks good. And then bring it to both ends of the screen, try and split the screen as evenly as you can. There you go, that looks fine. And then make it a little thicker, so maybe about there. That looks just about fine, looks very similar. So then now what we're gonna do is we're going to put the team's logos and who we're playing. So for the sake of this example, I'll just do the Liberty logo and the North Point Grizzlies. So we're just gonna copy and paste these, and then you can find these logos on their websites, like North Point's website and Liberty's website is where you can find these logos. So we're just gonna put that right about there. Download the Grizzlies logo, put it somewhere down here. And then we want this versus graphic. And so I'm pretty sure I found this for free under the versus templates. If you just there it is. Oh, it's a pro. So I'm pretty sure the school Canva accounts do allow this, but a lot of the work that I did here is with pro features. So anyway, I'm just gonna make this white right there. And then I'm gonna line that up with about the middle of the screen. And then I'm just gonna kind of move it and line it up perfectly, make it a little bigger, move it around just a little bit. So as you can see, it's cutting off a little bit right there, so I'm just gonna make this line bigger. There we go, that looks fine. And There you go. So then that's the first part of the thumbnail done. So make sure they're about centered. I'm happy where they're at. All right, so then for this part, we have to find a photo to use for it. All right, so to find the photo to use in the thumbnail, you go to the Publications Google Drive right here, go to this year, all photos, and then you'll find a sports folder or something of the sort. If you go on sports, go under fall, and then let's go, where is it at? Football, here we go. So this is where it depends on what you're doing. So if you're live streaming varsity boys soccer, there's that. If you're streaming, you know, girls volleyball, things like that, you'll find these photos here. So I'll just go into football, varsity, and then just find one of the photos from the previous games that year. So just for the sake of it, I'll just go to Fort Zumwalt North, and then just click one of the photographers, and then just find one of these photos that really does show action. But not only does it show action, but you also want the photo to kind of be, you know, tilted in the direction of the thumbnail. So see how this is like, see this slant is in that direction? You want the action of the photo, look at how he's leaning. He wants to also fit that to kind of balance out the thumbnail. Same thing with this guy's back, like look at the way his body's positioned, it lines up with that angle. Same thing with these girls. This one contradicts it a little bit, but I think it still looks good. You know, just try and find thumbnails or photos that really do line up with that line. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're just gonna kind of scroll through here and see if there's any photos that do line up with that. All right, after some looking, I do like how this one looks. It follows that tilt where we have the defense, obviously attacking number 7 here. So I think we're gonna use this photo. I like how this looks. So once you find the photo that you want, you're gonna click these 3 dots, go to download, and then it will start to download. There it is right there. So then if you go back to Canva, we're going to upload that photo right here. Okay. And then when we import that in, we're just gonna scale it to the size of the thumbnail. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just try and see how it lines up well with the lines. So I'm just gonna fade it out a little bit just so I can see. So as we can see, there's a little bit of space here. Like there's a little dead space right here in between them, in between those two. So I'm gonna fix that up. So one thing that I do like to do in a lot of my thumbnails, just to get the action a lot closer, but a good way to fix this is if you go up to edit, and if you go up to magic grab, give Canva a minute, I'm going to grab this guy out of the photo. And then after a little bit of loading, you'll be able to see that I can drag him around and he's completely detached from the photo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to move him closer so that it looks like they're closer and they're, you know, about to clash in the thumbnail. So I really like how that looks. So I'm going to group them together and then continue with trying to frame it up. So now I think that looks really well, because it shows them a lot tighter together and there's a lot less blank space. Another good example of that was this one right here. I remember for a fact doing this one. This number 14 was way off in the other side of the image, but I was able to kind of bring her into frame for that. So as of right now, we're just gonna kind of line it up, make sure they're not out of frame. Probably about there, I think that looks good. So then now what I'm going to do is basically cut that diagonal angle out of it. So if we grab this square right here, we can tilt it a little bit the same degree as that line, and then basically just make it black. The reason you do this is so that the photo gets cropped at that angle, so that you don't have to worry about anything like that. So now if we look at it, now you can see that the photo is completely cut off without going over into the logos like we just previously saw. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to turn the transparency back up, and now you can see that it looks good. All right, so now once you have that photo kind of cut, we're gonna add a fade. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and get another square. And basically what we're gonna do is just angle it at the same degrees, right about there. And then we're gonna go up here, go into gradient, and then make this just black. And then make sure you turn this dial all the way down to transparent. And then this color, just put it all the way to black, but keep the transparency all the way up. So now, as you can see, we have a faded square right there. So we're going to tilt it around about right there, and then make it longer. Something right about in this area. So now, if I go to the positioning and move it about there you go. That gives a nice fade into the line, and then a fade into the image. But there's a problem here, is that the two subjects, the two boys running, they seem like, you know, they seem very dark and you can't really see it, unlike these thumbnails where they're like the subject pops at the viewer. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna make a copy of this right here. We're gonna make a copy of it, and then basically we're just gonna overlap what we just did with the cutouts of the person. So from earlier, since I already cut this guy out, that makes my life a lot easier. So I can just cut him out and then place him right over. So now, even with that fade, you could still see him very clearly. So I'm gonna do that same thing with our Liberty player. So we're gonna go to edit, we're gonna go to magic grab, we're gonna give Canva a second to load, and then we're going to select our player. Click grab and give Canva a second. All right, so now once it's done, you can see we have the player, and then we are going to throw it right back on top, and then adjust some of the layering, and then get rid of that. And then there you go. And then that is a finished thumbnail. And I think these look very well, and I think that would be something pretty cool that if you were to include next year or the years to come. And just a little small detail, one thing I do like to add is the player's kind of bouncing off the screen a little bit to kind of break the fourth wall. See, like that? I think that looks really nice. Like her shoulder just kind of off the screen. So if you wanted to do that, you could once again grab your photos and then just kind of make them a little bigger like that. I think that looks really well, because now it seems like he's running into the photo. I think that looks really well. So from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to share, download, and then we're just gonna select the first page, which is this. And then what you want to do is you want to limit the file size, because YouTube, when you upload a photo to a live stream, there's a maximum size of how big the photo's file size can be. So it limits it to 2 megabytes, which is also equivalent to 2,000 kilobytes. So we're just gonna make sure it limits that file size, and then we're gonna click download. All right, once Canva is done, you can just call it stream thumbnail, that looks fine. And then we're done with this part. All right, so now that we have our thumbnails done, we can start working on our scoreboards for the stream. So just like last time, I'm gonna show you guys step by step exactly how I do it. So firstly, we're not gonna look at these teams yet. We're not gonna worry about them. We're just gonna focus on this square of the time, the teams, and the quarters. So all I do is grab a box, and then you're gonna wanna put it right in the middle, and you don't wanna make the scoreboard too tall to the point where it, you know, distracts the viewer from the game. But at the same time, you want it to be small enough so that, or big enough so that it still looks like a scoreboard. So we're just gonna put this right in the middle, maybe make it about, you know, that big. I think that should be about fine, that looks good. So then we're gonna break it up into those 4 chunks. So we have the team chunks right there, the quarter, and then the time. So what I'm gonna do is, if you click Control C and Control V, or if you're on Mac, it's Command, and you go up here to the border, you can add borders, as you can see right there. So I'm gonna change the color to white, so you can see it clearly. There it is. So as you can see, I'm adding a border right here. So we're gonna make it about maybe 10, size 10, that looks fine. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna do that like those 3 times to separate the gaps. So just like that, that looks fine. You're gonna highlight it, just copy and paste it, just like that. All right, there you go. So now you can see that I made, similar to the one up top, I made 4 chunks, one for the Liberties team, one for the away team, one for the quarter, and then one for the time. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to add that on top, just to kind of show what means what. So we're just gonna take another box. We're just going to put it right on top and then make it pretty small. Once again, you don't really want to distract the viewers from the actual game. So just looking back at what I did up here, that looks about fine. And then you'll want to put, you don't need to add a border on this one at all because we'll get to that in a little bit. You don't need to worry about it. So now inside of it, I'm gonna change these colors to black real quick. Just like that. All right, so now we're going to add the text boxes for the team names and the times and the quarters and things like that. So you're gonna click heading, and then we're gonna add the, let's just say LHS, let's just go to start. So we'll do our team name. And then the font that I use for these streams is our school font, which is AHJ Craft Gothic right here. And we're gonna make it the bold version. So then if we change our text color to white, then we can drag it down in here and then line it up right with that. There you go. That looks good. So now I'm just gonna make this a little bigger. All right. So then we're gonna repeat that same thing for this side. We're gonna say time. That looks good. Repeat it one more time. And then put the quarter. There we go. And then one more time for the away team. So for this example, we're doing the North Point Grizzlies. So we'll do North Point High School, just like that. All right, so then there's that. And then you can change it around. So I did the, I did black background with white text. It's completely up to you. You would do what you like. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to add the team names. I make these scoreboards based off of their school team colors. So for Liberty, obviously you can see there's the red and there's the blue, and then for the Spartans, there's the blue and then the gray. So for North Point, for example, we're gonna have that orange and that blue kind of a feel. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make just another box, as I said, and then drop it down until about right there, until it lines up with our scoreboard. Drop it down before, you wanna put it before the, up top here. Move it along just like that. And then since we are the Eagles, I do have our colors saved right there. We're gonna make it red. And then same thing, we're going to add this that says Eagles. And then what we used to use were these like these basketball, like very school kind of fonts. But right now we're using the bold AHJ Craft Gothic. So, you can pick and choose and do whatever you feel is right. So we're gonna change it to white and then definitely drop that size a little bit. So I think if it was right around here, I think that looks pretty good. That looks good. And then you're gonna wanna add the Liberty logo. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can just copy and paste it from your thumbnail, or you can download it from the Liberty's website, or you could just Google it, I'm sure. All right, so then now we're going to make the photo a lot smaller, right about there. All right, we're gonna give it some space. All right, and then now we're going to take this box and we're going to find wherever the logo kind of breaks apart the, the text box. So if you look at what I did on up here, you can see that the transition between the blue box and the gray box happens right here where the logo is covering both sides. So down here, I'm going to, if you look very closely, I'm going to cut off the logo or the text box right where the logo breaks the screen. So right about there. Something along those lines. All right, that looks fine. All right, and then now what we're gonna do is we're going to add the blue box for the second half of the Eagles thing. So we're just gonna put it to the other side of the screen, match it up with where we cut it, and then make it the Liberty blue color. And in this one, we want to make a gradient and then fade it out similarly to how we did the thumbnail. So the final look will be something like this if you move the element forward. There we go. So it'll look something like that. I really do like how this looks. Obviously there'll be like, you know, just some small tweaks that would need to be made, but that's the general gist of it. So then we're just gonna do the exact same thing over here with the Grizzlies. All right, so now that I have a box over here, I need the hex codes of the colors that North Point has. What I mean by that is if you go to their website, if I go to North Point High School, and here we go, if I look at their logo right here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save that, and then I'm going to search up what hex code is this. And then you'll wanna click on this first link right here, and then you want to upload the image that we just downloaded of the North Point Grizzlies. And then basically, we're going to want to hover this over the orange, and then there you go. So now you have the specific hex code color of the team. So now when you go into the colors, there you go. Now we have the official orange of North Point Grizzlies. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that exact same thing with the blue. So now we're gonna, boom, click the blue right there, copy that, and now we are back on here. If we duplicate the box, there you go. So then these are the official colors of the North Point Grizzlies. So I'm going to copy and paste this text box. I'm gonna put Grizzlies. All right, and then once again, I'm going to put their logo right over here. And so now we have to figure out a good spot to cut off the logo at. So I'm sure if we just go right there in the middle, I think that looks good. That looks fine. So you can't see where the text box begins and breaks. So I think that's a very clean transition. And then if we add this on the end, there you go, very clean. So now we're gonna add the fade into that. There you go. So this is how I make the scoreboards, but we're almost done. We have one more change to make. As you can notice, I have these little fades right above the logos, and I think it gives a very comforting, you know, like very smooth feel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a black gradient similar to what I did in the thumbnail, just like that, and then drop that down below here, right about there, something like that. And then you'll just want to copy and paste that, rotate it. All right, so something along those lines is how we make our logos. So you can change around the colors with how you want, change around the fonts with how you like. This is totally up to you, but this is how I did mine. All right, so for this part of the video, we're gonna be making all of the fancy graphics and templates that I use in our streams. So firstly, you're gonna wanna go over here and you're gonna wanna go to Stream Overlay. So then right here, the first one recommended is called Waves Flag Stream Screen. So this is what we use in our intros and outros and things like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click Edit. All right, so now it's gonna ask us to title our project. So I'm just gonna call it Tutorial for the sake. All right, create a new project. So now is where we edit everything that goes into it. So for our logo, what we're gonna do is we're going to add the Liberty logo. So we're going to upload that. Right here, there you go, click open. Once again, you can find this online if you just Google it. Give it a second to load. All right, there you go. So now you can see that logo. All right, so you see where it says Legends right here? We're gonna change that to Eagles versus Grizzlies. We're gonna save that, wait for the preview to finish. All right, there you go. And then now where it says Champions League down there, we're gonna change that to what we want the stream to say. So we have a graphic for this for when the stream is starting, when the stream is ending, when the stream, you know, has, like if it is canceled or delayed. That's why we have these graphics for it. So under text number 2, where it says Champions League, I normally say like stream beginning soon. Something like that. And then if you go over to this customize tab, you can choose the fonts that you want to use for these templates. So if I upload our own fonts, for the sake of this video, we'll just use the same font that we always use in publications, which is that AHJ Craft Gothic, which is right here. We're just gonna keep it just like this. All right, we're gonna let it update. All right, there you go. So then now if you click on preview HQ image, give it a second. So now it will show you in high resolution what your stream will look like. So we have the Eagles versus Grizzlies stream beginning soon with the wavy eagle. And if you guys check out the streams, you'll see how wavy it actually gets and it looks very nice. So what we're gonna do is to finish that, we're gonna click export. But unfortunately with this software, it does cost. So if you go to the monthly tab, it costs $35 for 1 month, which is what I did. So if you pay the $35 just for 1 month, you can download everything you need for the season. So if you plan ahead and you grab like the, like if you get all the teams, if you get all the dates, all the things like that ahead of time, then you can do this for $35 and get every graphic you need for the year all in that 1 month. Because once you do that, the exports are unlimited. So unfortunately, I did have to pay $35 of my own money to get these graphics to make them look very well. Obviously, you do not. I'm not asking you to spend your own money. I did that entirely by my own decision. Hall didn't tell me to do that. No one told me to do that, and I'm not going to tell you to do that. So if you want to spend your own money and get these really cool graphics for those $35, please go right ahead. But there are free alternative options that I'm sure you could find if you looked hard enough. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say that you did pay for the $35. So once these graphics are done, they will look a little something like this. So here was our graphic for the stream beginning soon. So this would be playing before the stream began. Then we have this game has ended. So this is after the final whistle. And then this is what is played at halftime. We will resume shortly. And then this is for if it gets canceled or delayed. So the reason that we have a graphic for if they are canceled or delayed is because the first game of the season for the 2025 year was rainy and it was really bad storms and it was delayed till about 9 o'clock. But the stream was supposed to start at like 6. So if you have a graphic that says delayed or canceled or things like that, then it gives the viewer an idea that, okay, well, the game's not over, it's just delayed. Because without that, then you would probably just have to be stuck on the stream starting soon, which might be very confusing for some viewers. All right, so this is how we do all of our wavy intro and outro graphics. And now the only thing I have left to show you is where we get the background music that you guys hear. So the website that we're gonna be using for this is called Upbeat, uppbeat.io. And if you go to the search and you search for a song called Aurora, I think I spelled that right, yep. This one right here, this is the sound that we use for the games. It's a very upbeat, very fast, and it makes you feel hype. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna click download on this. This one is free, so that's great. But if you can see up here where it says 2 out of 3, you get 3 free downloads in a month. So if you guys wanna change up the music or change how the stream looks, then you have 3 options to choose from. So you're gonna click download, and then you're going to get this file. So now once you download these files and once you get all your graphics rendered, you're ready to start getting them uploaded into OBS. All right, so now that you have your graphics rendered, we can actually start getting them into OBS. So as you can see right now, this black screen is what the stream will see. Right here you have your scenes, your sources, and your controls. Your screen might look a little different than mine when you first opened it, but that's all right. So under the scenes right here, that's where you're gonna have the beginning, the outro, and the halftime, and all of those graphics that you put into Videobolt. So firstly, under scene 1 right here, we're gonna rename this. We're just gonna call it beginning, or like stream start or something like that. So then under this scene, you're gonna go to sources, you're gonna click plus, and then media source, click OK. And then you're gonna browse the files and go and find the graphics that you just made. So under football here, under the Grizzlies, we're gonna do stream starting soon. We're gonna click open. And then right here, you have to remember to click loop right here, because the clip itself only lasts about a couple seconds long. So you need to make sure it loops so that it continues to go. So click OK. There you go. Now you can see your graphic is on the screen right there. Then now the only thing you have left to add is that music that you're going to be using. So once again, you go down to media source. I'm just going to title this one music. Then browse the file. And then the one that we use for our streams is Aurora by Jeff Kale. So we're just going to open that up. Make sure to click loop again. And then you'll be able to see these audio meters moving. So we're gonna turn this down to -10, but the reason you guys can't hear it right now is because of one key setting. So we're gonna go over here to these 3 dots, click that, advanced audio properties, and then right here under your music tab, you need to switch from monitor off to monitor and output. There you go. So now you can hear what the music actually sounds like. And I make sure to have mine down at -10 so that it's not too loud on the stream. That's kind of the golden zone that we found. So now once you're done with that, we can start with the other graphics that we made. So for right now, I'm just gonna mute it so you guys can hear me better. So we're gonna click plus again, and then we're just gonna call this one maybe like game end or something like that. And then once again, under here, we're gonna hit the plus, and then media source. And now we're going to find wherever we put the game has ended. So we're gonna click open, don't forget to click loop, and okay, game has ended, thank you for watching. All right, so now the only thing you have left to do is add the music. It's kind of like a rinse and repeat process here. Click open, loop, okay. Make sure to turn it down to -10 decibels. Right about there. 3 dots, properties, and then make sure it's on monitor and output. All right, so now we're good here. I'm just gonna mute that. And then now is where we add the other graphics for the canceled and delayed. So I'm just gonna go canceled right here. All right, so now that's done, we're gonna move on to the delayed. All right, so now you can see we have the beginning, the end, the canceled, the delayed. So now the only thing that we're missing here is the actual scene for the stream itself. So we're gonna go this, we're gonna title it stream. And then this is the scene that you're gonna click once you actually have your cameras and audio and everything like that set up. But for right now, what we're gonna do is just set up the scoreboard. So to get your scoreboard into OBS, we're gonna click this plus, and then we're gonna go to image, click OK. And then we're gonna browse and find wherever you stored that scoreboard that you made in Canva. So right here, here's mine. Click open, click OK. All right, so now that you have your scoreboard in OBS, the next thing we're gonna do is install the software that we use to actually run the working scoreboard. So I would highly recommend that you watch this video. This is the video that I use to learn everything that I know. So I would highly recommend you go and watch this video. All right, so now that you've watched that video and installed the software, it should look something like this. So we're gonna minimize that just for right now. And then we're gonna go hit this plus, go to text, and we're gonna call this the home score because we'll just do them first. And then you're gonna wanna select this font here, and then we're just gonna scroll all the way up and use the AHJ Craft Gothic, the same one that you've been using for the rest of the video. So now once you do that, you're gonna click from file, click browse, and then now is where you're going to find your scoreboard plus folder. Then you should see an output, and then we're gonna click home score. So now we're gonna click open, click OK. So now you should see a 0 in this corner. So we're just gonna put this down a little bit and scale it down to about right there. And then once you have a little more time, you can more perfect the sizes and everything like that, but that's fine for right now. So now we're going to add the Grizzlies score. So we're gonna go back down to text, put away score, click OK. Change the font to AHJ Craft Gothic. Make sure it's the bold version, by the way. Click OK. Then we're gonna click from file, browse, and then click away score. Click 0, click OK. And then once again, just scale it down to whatever feels appropriate. So obviously that 0 is a little smaller, but with more time, you can adjust all that stuff. So now we're going to add the quarter. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. Once again, it's kind of a rinse and repeat process. So we're just gonna call that quarter, click OK. Once again, change the font, from file, click browse, and now it's gonna be period. Technically in football, it's called quarters, but in the program, it's just called period, so it's the same thing. So click open, click OK, and then once again, bring it down here and scale it down to size. So there you go, that looks fine. And then the last thing to do is to add the time. So we're gonna once again hit the plus, click text, we'll just call it the time, select the right fonts, from file, browse, and then clock. We're gonna click open, and once again, scale it down to size. All right, so that looks about fine for right now. So now if you open up your scoreboard app right here, you'll be able to set the time right here. So in a quarter of football is 12 minutes. So then you'll be able to see it update live right there. So then let's say we start the timer, and then you'll start seeing it slowly count down. And then boom, let's say Liberty scores a touchdown. That's 6 points right there. And then you'll see the scoreboard automatically update. All right, boom, Grizzlies score a touchdown. That's another 6. All right, and then field goal, and then, so on. So you just click these pluses and minuses to adjust the score. You can start and stop the clock like this, and it is a very useful program. Right here is the quarter. So once the second quarter hits, boom, just like that, you'll see it update live. So I think this is a very useful scoreboard because it updates live, and it's very quick and very responsive and very easy. All right, now that you guys understand all that, we're going to connect the main camera down to our switcher to our MacBook. So what we're gonna need for that is a couple of HDMI ports. The number that we use is about 4. So just these regular HDMI cord, doesn't have to be that complicated. But what we are gonna do is we're gonna take this. This is an HDMI connector. Very simple. This is how we connect these two to make its way all the way down here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, now that we're back up here, we're going to take our HDMI cord, and as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna plug it into the out port. So we're here, the in is where we're getting the signal from the camera. We're here where out is where we're gonna plug our HDMI cord that's gonna go to, this is what's gonna go to our MacBook. Right there. All right, now, this is going to go down behind the ladder. This is very, very important. So when you're managing all these cords that are going up and down, you wanna make sure they hide behind the ladder just like that. Because during varsity football games, there's gonna be a lot of people up here. A lot of different schools and a lot of different news, people are gonna be up here. So you need to hide your cords behind the ladder just to keep everybody safe and to make sure that not only are your cords not gonna get broken, but also just to make sure that everybody else is safe and won't trip and get themselves hurt. All right, so now we are going to connect both of the HDMI cords. So this is where our port comes into play. We're going to plug it in right there and plug the other end right here. There you go. And then you're gonna wanna make sure you hide it behind the ladder to keep everybody safe. Just like that, and then feed it all the way down. It might be a little bit of a hassle, but you'll get it. So we're just gonna feed it through all the way down. All right, now that your HDMI cords are behind the ladder and safe from anybody, we're going to wire it all the way into here with our switcher. So this cord is pretty long, so luckily we won't need any more extenders or cables. So we're gonna come in here and we're gonna wire it under that little cable hole thing right there. So we're just gonna go through until it pokes its head through at some point in time. There you go. So now, once it's there, we're gonna put it into camera number 1. As you can see, there's 4 cameras right here. We're gonna plug it into number 1, just like that. So then that's good there. All right, so the next thing is our power strips. And this is the adapter that powers everything that goes along in here. Your MacBook, the switcher, the sound, everything like that powers through this. So if we look down here, below the table, you'll be able to see 2 ports right there. And that's what we're gonna be plugging this into. Obviously, it doesn't matter which one you use, but it has to have multiple of those because you'll have multiple things that need to be powered. So, I'm gonna go in here. We're just gonna line it up. There you go, just like that. So now, everything's powered through here. Now we're going to take our power cord for the switcher and plug it in. Just like that. Once again, we're gonna feed it through this little cable hole right here. Just like that. And plug it into the power port right there. And this one's fancy because it screws into. You can see all the lights come on, that's good. All right, so now everything is good when it comes to on the roof, so we don't have to go back up there anymore. But what we are gonna do now is set up our commentator's camera and we're going to set up their microphones. So firstly, you have to get your camera. As I mentioned earlier, this is a 90D camera with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens. So what we're gonna do is instead of a big tripod like we did upstairs, we're gonna be using this little gimbal tripod and screw it in to the same spot we did with the other tripod. Now that this is plugged in, you can extend the legs, and there you go. Now it has its own little platform to work on. So I usually put this camera right about here so that it can face them. You don't have to use this tripod if you don't want to. Obviously we have many to choose from. But what I like to do is I want to keep the producer behind the scenes. You don't want to show him, which was me in my case, but you want to keep the camera and the audience focused on our 2 commentators. Excuse me. So same thing as upstairs. We need a mini HDMI to HDMI power cord. All right, same thing with the upstairs camera. If you look on the side, it'll say HDMI. Pop that open, mini HDMI port in, and this will just go straight to camera number 2. There you go, just like that. And what we're gonna do now, there's already a camera in here, but there's not an SD card. So I'm gonna take this card. Obviously, it doesn't matter what size it is, and plug it into the side just like before. Okay, so now everything's good here. Take the lens cap off. All right, now everything's good. So now what we're gonna work on is the audio and how we get all of our game sounds. So in a normal game or in a professional sports games, they have separate microphones all the way out in the field. But what we have learned to be most useful is we get enough audio through the microphones in the booth. So luckily for us, we don't need a camera out there, mostly because it does pick up a lot of profanity from the students and the coaches and the players. And that's really something we want in a student-run school live stream, obviously. So what the commentators are actually picking up enough of the whistle sounds, the clashing of the helmet sounds. You can still hear that from all the way up here. It's crazy. So what we're gonna do now is get this little bad boy hooked up to the MacBook. So we use this and not a regular soundboard because there's only 2 ports, which is all we need, just for the sake of simplicity and not using up enough space. So we're gonna grab this, and we're going to grab its connecting cord. And we're gonna make our way over here. So once again, make sure all of this tech stuff is out of the way of the camera. Nothing can be in frame. So we're gonna put the USB-B end in the back of it, like that. And then for this part, we're gonna need our dongle because this is a regular USB, which isn't supported by a regular MacBook. There's just no ports for it, which is why you need an adapter. Which adapter you use isn't that big of a deal. It just has to have a USB-C out. So simply we're just gonna plug it in like that and plug it into the MacBook port. There you go. So now it has power and it has connectivity. Now we're going to get the actual headsets powered. So these are very, standard sports commentating headsets. You put it on, your microphone's right here, and you can just talk the whole game like this. We've had it in the past where they had handheld little microphones, which ended up soaring their arm out really quickly, and they oftentimes had to take breaks through the games because of their arm was aching so bad. So, I would highly recommend these. As I mentioned, there are handheld options, but it wouldn't be recommended for your commentators because it'll start hurting. All right, so now, as you can see, there's 2 ports connected to the headsets. So on the headset, you see there's 2 ports. The TRS cable, which is for where they can hear themselves, and then this is a regular XLR cord, which is where I can hear them. So we'll plug this port into one of these. I'll just put it into number 2 for right now. And then this is how they can hear themselves. So we'll need this cable. It's a very specific cable. So this is a TRS male to 2 TRS females. So we're going to plug this into the microphone or the headphones. You can see that little headphone logo right there. We're gonna plug that in. And now this is where our 2 commentators are gonna be hearing themselves. So we're just gonna plug it in right there, okay. So there we go. And now we're gonna do that exact same thing with our second microphone. So for your second commentator, it'll be the exact same thing. You unravel it. Right there. And then you'll plug their microphone into right here. Anyway, back to it, you're gonna put this back into this port. So now both of them can hear themselves, which is crucial. So now everything should be set up. So now if we open up our OBS, all right, so now once you have everything set up, you're gonna need to give your MacBook power. All right, so since you're gonna be having so much equipment all go to one MacBook, it's gonna drain the power really fast. So you're gonna need to plug it in while you're streaming. If not, then I don't even think it'll make it to halftime. So you use your power cord down here to plug it in, back through the power cord over here. There you go. So now your MacBook is charging, so now you don't have to worry about the whole stream cutting off on you. So now, as you saw earlier, there's a whole bunch of different scenes for the different portions of the game. But when you're under the stream tab, to get the camera actually on the screen, we're gonna click the plus, and we're gonna click video capture device. Click OK. And then under device, you're gonna wanna click Black Magic Design. And that is the name of our switcher right here. We're gonna click OK. And there you go. You can see the top camera is streaming down to the field and onto our MacBook. So now we're gonna take this tab of video capture device, bring it all the way down so that the scoreboard shows up for our viewers to see. So that is how you do that. And then if I were to turn this camera on, if I switch it, you have to make sure it's on video mode. Yeah, so switch it to video mode. And then now with a little bit of adjustment, there you go. Just fix there you go. All right, so now if you switch, there'll be a nice fade into up there. So then if there's a timeout or if there's just nothing going on, maybe if there's a player injured. So if there is something like that, or if there's a timeout, or if there's any blank space where there's nothing going on the field, you're gonna want to click number 2 and switch it over to our commentators. So that's all we have to do for the stream portion of it. But now what we're gonna do is we're going to connect the OBS stream to the YouTube channel. So I'll cut to that right now. Okay, so for this part of the tutorial, I'm gonna show you guys how to get a stream actually onto the YouTube channel. So now first we're going to log into the Liberty Publications Gmail account, which I will put the username and password on screen. And then now what you wanna do is you wanna go to YouTube. And then once that loads, you're gonna wanna go up to the top and click Create, and then Go Live. And then you'll want to schedule a stream. You're gonna click Create New. And then what you're gonna put is you're gonna put the Liberty Eagles, and then versus whoever you're versing. In this scenario was the Grizzlies, so we'll put North Point Grizzlies. You don't need to add a description. Make sure you click Streaming Software, and under Category, make sure you click Sports. All right, so now here's when you're going to select your thumbnail. So then we're gonna here's the one that we just made. I'm gonna click Open. And then under Playlists, for our 2024-2025 sports season, we had categories. So you can see 24 football, 24 soccer, 24 basketball. So you guys will want to make a new category right here for the year that you're doing this and then those streams. So I won't do that for right now, but you'll want to click one of those. Make sure no, it's not for kids. Click Next. You don't really need to touch anything here. And then click Next. And then this is where you want to set the time that the stream will actually go live. So I would recommend doing this step and getting it on the YouTube the day prior. So if there's a football game this Friday, then this Thursday, I'm gonna do all this and get this link up. So as of right now, it is March 13th. But let's just say Friday night on the 14th, there was a football game. So we'll do the 14th, and then the games almost always start at about 7 o'clock. So we're going to set the time at 6:45, because you don't want to start the stream right when the game begins, because you want to have time for the intro graphics and for the commentators to start talking and things like that. So 6:45 works fine. And then you're going to click Done. So now, as you can see, this is like the stream, studio of where you will control the settings and the analytics and things like that. So for now, we're gonna go back to OBS. And here is where we're going to start our actual stream. So we're going to click go into settings, and then right here under stream, you will get a stream key. And basically this is how OBS knows which YouTube account to actually start streaming to. So if you go back to the YouTube page, you'll be able to see there's a stream key right here. So we're gonna click copy, and then we're gonna go back to OBS, and we're just gonna copy and paste it right into there. And then click OK. So now once you do that, you're gonna click start streaming, and then you're gonna go back to the YouTube. And if you give it a second here, it will say excellent connection, and then you will soon see what the stream looks like. All right, there you go. So now you can see there's our scoreboard. And then ideally, once you obviously hook up all the cameras and all of the equipment, you'll see the field right here. But for now, I'll just go back to the intro right there. So then if we give YouTube a second. All right, there it goes. So now this is what you want your stream to begin as. So then once March 14th at 6:45 comes, you want to click go live. So now we're going live. And then now, boom, we're live. So then now if you were to go to the YouTube page, so now if we go to the YouTube and we go to our channel, if you go to live, then you'll be able to see the stream that you're doing. And then you can watch it just like this. So I'm gonna take this down just so no one else can hop on, because this is just a tutorial. But that is how you would do it. And then once your game is over, you will get these statistics. It will show how many viewers you got at the peak, you know, the duration, total watch time, views, things like that. And then you're gonna wanna click dismiss, and then you can start packing up. All right, so the next step is to connect the sound to your stream. So similarly to the camera, you click add, you put audio input capture, click that, okay. And then when you see it, you're gonna wanna click Scarlett 2i2 USB. Once you click that and you click okay, you'll start seeing these audio meters start moving around. So, and this means it's coming from this box. So as you can see, if I were to take a microphone and go like, you can see it start peaking like that. So that means you know it's working. So now once you have the headsets ready, you have to click these three dots, advanced properties, and then under the audio input capture, all the way over here, you must turn it to monitor and output. If you don't click this, then the stream won't hear you and nothing will happen. Lastly, the live stream manager must have their own pair of headphones. So these headphones are just from Paul's room. You plug them into your Mac right there, and then that way you can hear everything they're saying through their microphones, and you can hear the game, and you can hear the sound effects and everything you have in your stream. All right, so the last thing I have to talk about is these cable covers. And this is really just for the safety of everybody in the box, including yourself. So these cords that are all wired right there, someone could very easily trip on that, including a kid. So you take these covers, and if you look closely, you can hide the cords. If you peel that open, you can hide the cords kind of inside there, just like that. Now, I'm not gonna do that now because it is a very long process to get the whole thing covered, but it's something you must do to prevent any tripping or any really errors like that. Because if someone trips, they could get hurt, but then also your stream shuts down, so really a no bueno. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is everything that I've been working on, and this is everything that I've learned to perfect over my 4 years in high school. Please, if you guys have any questions, Hall will love to help you guys out. He's just as passionate about this stuff as I am. So if you have any more questions, check out the other tutorials on the YouTube channel that I've made. So please feel free to go and use those tools. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great year.